Forward at the walk.
Company forward at the wall.
March. Left in the line. March. Hold. Guys to the left. Yeah, go ahead, yeah. Straighten this line out.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to these commemorative services for the 150th anniversary of the Battle of Williamsburg. I would like to take this time to welcome Dr. James I. Robertson Jr. and his wife, and Colin Campbell, president of Colonial Williamsburg, and his wife Nancy as well. If you would, please join me in taking your mind back to May 5th of 1862, 150 years ago today. It has been raining all day. That is not unusual, as it had rained most of the month of April, and now the land around town was a virtual swamp. The main street is over 2 feet deep in mud. Every house is filled with wounded and dying men. The Baptist church across the street is one of the major operating centers, and there are amputated limbs piled outside one of the windows. The ground around here near the courthouse is covered with men, writhing with pain and groaning from their wounds. Little can be done for their comfort. Some stare skyward with lifeless eyes. The people of Williamsburg were inundated with a war they never thought would come to their doorstep. Now they must deal with tragedy and heartache. These men participated in a life and death struggle today, and the pouring rain added to the misery of this battle. Most had never seen death such as this, and had not fired a weapon in anger at anyone before. They have now been in a contest against each other in a severed country, each believing they are in the right. Some men were defending their homes, some adamant about their rights. Those who deemed themselves patriots fought to make a new country to safeguard those rights, or to maintain the country passed to them by their forefathers. There were those who wanted to stamp out forced servitude, and others who didn't care one way or the other as long as they were paid to fight. Most found out after the first shots were fired that they did not want to be here at all. All of them went through a life-changing experience this day, and all of them would now look at the world differently. In the spring of 1862, President Lincoln sent General McClellan and the United States Army to march up from Fort Monroe on the eastern tip of the Virginia Peninsula to capture Richmond, hopefully ending the war. President Davis dispatched General Johnston and the Confederate Army to try and stop McClellan's invasion of Virginia, and occupied a series of entrenchments near Yorktown to oppose the Union forces. On May 4th, under threat of attack from McClellan, Johnston withdrew his army towards Richmond and its heavier defenses. General McClellan followed in pursuit. On the route lay a line of defense works east of Williamsburg that had been constructed the previous year as a deterrent to an invading force. Now was the time that these would be tested. Although neither Johnston nor McClellan had intended to fight here, from the evening of the 4th through the following day, each army would grapple with the other, trying to gain the upper hand. Leaders who would later achieve fame in the war were prominent here at the Battle of Williamsburg. James Longstreet, A.P. Hill, George Pickett, Winfield Hancock, and a young lieutenant named Custer all became part of the drama here. The morning of the 6th, Johnston continued his movement to Richmond, and McClellan trailed him slowly. There were over 700 dead and nearly 3,300 wounded, captured, and missing. That is 2 soldiers for every townsperson. Union and Confederate intermingled in death, and striving to survive, left a deep mark on Williamsburg. It survived 3 years of occupation and what seemed like a lifetime to come out of pain and poverty. Yet it did, and here we are today to remember those who fought here in 1862, as well as the town and its people that saw such tragedy. They were young and enthusiastic. They gave their all for their country as they thought it should be. They struggled to rebuild it and live better lives with a hope for a better future. Ladies and gentlemen, It is my distinct honor to introduce to you today our keynote speaker, Dr. James I. Robertson, Jr. Known affectionately as Bud to his friends and colleagues, Dr. Robertson is the Alumni Distinguished Professor Emeritus in History at Virginia Tech. He is also Executive Director for Civil War Studies and is a charter member of Virginia's Civil War Sesquicentennial Commission. He served as Executive Director of the U.S. Centennial Commission to mark the conflict's 100th anniversary. He is the author or editor of more than 20 books that include award-winning studies of the Civil War. His biography of Stonewall Jackson won 8 national awards and was the basis for the movie Gods and Generals, for which he was also historical consultant. His talk today is on the uncontrollable war. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in welcoming Dr. Robertson?